12 hours in Accra. This is Midday Live. My name is Bright, and I'm from now till 1 p.m. We'll tell you what's happening in Ghana and beyond. A quick look at our top stories. Friday morning downpour floods parts of Accra, causing huge vehicular traffic in some parts of the city. We'll take you live to these areas and show you the pictures. Also coming up, Ghana Revenue Authority seizes over 100 smuggled vehicles as owners are accused of evading payment of import duties on the vehicles. And on the international front, Nobel Peace Prize awarded to the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons. Thanks so much for staying there. The bulletin also includes business and sports. Let's do our first story. Now, TV3 investigations have revealed that canned fish with the brand name Asahi, intercepted by the Mile 7 police on Tuesday, is not a registered product. Meanwhile, the Food and Drugs Authority has begun investigations to establish the circumstances under which the product was imported and cleared from the port.
TV3 on Wednesday broke the story on the unwholesome canned fish with the brand name Asahi, intercepted at Ofankor by the Achimota Mile 7 District Police. Further investigations revealed the products were imported by a general merchant operating under the company name Dochisco Ventures, owned by one Kofi Dochi. Our sources indicate the company imports mainly from China, where the Asahi mackerel was produced. Further probing revealed the product name could not be traced in the Food and Drugs Authority register. The Food and Drugs Authority earlier declined an official comment, saying it had to begin its investigations before speaking to the media. TV3's check with the Tema Port office of the FDA also denied knowledge of ever inspecting and giving the green light to any such product. The CEO of the company reported to the police and was asked to give a statement and was admitted to police inquiry bail together with the 4 drivers who were earlier detained. As at noon Thursday, the first truck was still stuck at Ofankor with the goods, while the other 2 were parked at the Mile 7 police station.
Let's stay on this issue for some time. Man Peter Kwadato is at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Peter, good afternoon, and grateful that you have joined us on phone. Now, what can you tell us about what Customs is saying on the quantity of canned fish?
Thank you, Nana. My checks at the Food and Drug Authority told us yesterday that the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority also immediately do not have any transaction with that company for the country. My further checks around the Tema Port revealed that that particular product was received in the Tema Port about a month ago, and it's a transit product meant for Togo. So the worry now is how the transit product, which was meant for Togo, which had left Tema Port, ended up in Tantra Hill on the Kumasi road side of the country. That is the baffle everybody is trying to understand now. For now, the understanding or the confirmation is that that product is not a product that has been licensed for Ghana market, but it was through the Tema Port as transit meant for Togo, and we don't know why that product is ending up in the country in that condition, Nana.
And so Customs is acknowledging the fact that they actually cleared the canned fish?
They have knowledge that, you know, the issue is that when somebody is using the country as a transit port, the local customs don't have control over goods that is passing through the country as transit. They can't take any tax on it, they can't do anything. But that is how the good was declared at the port. We start to check with the container number, and we are checking on the details. In short time, we'll get to know exactly how the goods was had departed the Tema Port and what in Tantra Hill.
So what we know is that the goods are for the Togolese market and not the Ghanaian market.
Yes, exactly. That is what they told the Port authorities, that this good is a transit one for Togo. And
I see.
Why should we enter in Ghana in another place where it is not on the Aflawu route? That is the mystery everybody is trying to uncover.
Will customs be able to explain, or have they been able to explain perhaps why one of the containers was empty at the time TV3 reporters got to the vehicle?
Nana, it is not only even one that was empty. 2 of the containers were emptied. But customs, as I said, has no control over the thing. What they need to do to have with their document is that some transit products have come to the Port and has left the Port. As to where it is going exactly in Togo or wherever, they don't have any control over it. It is the Togolese customs who will be able to tell where this product is going, how much tax on it. And all these things have to be done in Togo, not in Ghana. And that's where the problem is. Because there's nobody who will control it in Ghana. And only what we need to do is that GCNet, which is in charge of this thing, they will have to track and make sure that the goods that have come to the country as transit actually ended up in the final destination. But this is also another problem in the country that needed to be solved, Ghana.
I'm grateful for your time. Peter Kwadato is a man on the beat there. The quantity of canned fish seized by the police, we will tell you more about that in our subsequent bulletins. But 3news.com has more on that story. This is Midday Live. In other stories, 70% of the small-scale miners will have to secure fresh certificates if they want to remain in business. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister, John Peter Amewu, who made this known, said he will propose to Cabinet to extend the ban on illegal and small-scale mining, since an initial assessment indicates set targets have not been achieved.
Of course, there's going to be extension because we haven't achieved what we're looking for. But we put in modalities, and during the extension period, a lot will be done. We're talking about regularizing the whole system. At this stage, for me, I don't think that it's proper for us to say go back. No, we cannot do that. And they themselves know. They know all those guys who are fighting for this, they are just few in the society. There are few of them. The millions of Ghanaians downstream, Accra, Kumasi, and other places who are suffering. Peoples are becoming mentally degraded because of mercury issues. As for the small-scale licenses that are existing already, well, pronouncement will be made because most of them are not going to be recognized. If they are not going to recognize, then it means you should begin to make effort of coming for new registration. Okay? Most of those small-scale licenses, 68 to 70% of them were issued in December, very close to the elections. I mean, we cannot accept things in this manner, done haphazardly without any due cause to lay down procedures. And so, yes, of course, I can say in all authority that for me, the best way, again, it's going to be an extension.
The minister's decision to propose to Cabinet for an extension of the ban on illegal and small-scale mining. Let's speak to the Director of Operations of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, Emmanuel Yirinchi Entry, has just joined me on the telephone. Good afternoon, sir. Grateful for your time. So the small-scale miners have been asking government to lift the ban and get them to go back to their work. Now, the minister said that he is going to propose to Cabinet for an extension. This certainly should come as a worry to the small-scale miner.
Yes, good afternoon, good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, it was worrying, and I'm using the word was, because yesterday we met the minister, and then we had a very lengthy, fruitful discussion, and we seek for explanation what he meant by extension, and he also gave us the explanation. We also told him that the association will not support any extension, especially blanket extension. And so we presented our roadmap and action plan to him, which will enable the sector to sanitize itself, of course, with the full support of the association, that will see our members returning to work in batches, where we will self-regulate and self-police. Because what are we looking for as a nation? We are looking for responsible mining and looking to stop illegal mining, isn't it? And so if we already have people who are already doing responsible mining, what is the use in placing ban on them? Rather, we have to encourage them. And then those who are not doing responsible mining, we will educate and sensitize them to do and enforce the law so that they will do responsible mining. Keeping us in the house all this while will not yield any solution. Rather, it will create other socioeconomic problems for us.
I see.
And that is what the association don't want to happen to Ghana.
I see. How did the minister take your proposal to go back to work in batches?
Well, the minister took it in good faith and even recognized the fact that he is aware of some responsible miners in the association. And then he also commended us on our previous efforts to get rid of illegal mining when the Operation Vanguard, before the Operation Vanguard set in. And then he questioned the reason why we withdrew from the field. And then we told him that we were asked specifically by the leader of the Interministerial Task Force, Honorable Frimpong Boateng, to withdraw our task force from the field, citing security implications. And so we told him that we did not withdraw because we wanted to, but because the leader of the task force asked us to withdraw. And that is why we withdrew. And so one that he's expressed that, he commended us to come back and be on board. We are ever ready to help Ghana sanitize the sector. At the same time, too, we are ready to let our members go back to work, and we are ready to self-police and self-regulate.
I see. Then I am taking it that the minister has agreed that your members resume work in batches. Is that the situation?
Yeah, there's going to be a roadmap to do that. And he's going to present that to Cabinet next week. And after the Cabinet meeting, we'll see how we are going to go about it. But three important things happened during our meeting.
Quickly.
The minister requested that, one, we will set up a review committee made up of the ministry and then the association. And then two, we are able to also identify responsible miners across the country and submit the list. And then three, those who are doing underground mining will also be asked to go and pump their waters and all that. So we believe that on the whole, the engagement was positive. And we think that, we are looking forward for more positive things to happen.
Okay, just before you go, the minister also said that 70% of some certificates were given in December prior to the elections. He suggested that they were put together, or they were done in a haphazard way. So he's asking that all those certificates would have to be renewed. Is the association concerned about that?
Of course, we have to be concerned. But you see, he is a minister, and if he's done his forensics and he sees that people didn't go through the right process to acquire their licenses, well, it is in his purview to review them. But then we would also want to draw the minister's attention to the fact that if somebody gets licensed in 2016, it doesn't mean that the protest started 2016. Because some of our members, for instance, started some of their process in 2014 and then received their license in 2016. So it is important that the minister would do the forensic and make sure that whichever license that is targeted is truly that, those licenses didn't go through the requisite process that they are supposed to go through. That way the association will support. Anything apart from that association will not support.
I am grateful. Emmanuel Yirenchi Entry is the Director of Operations of the Ghana National Association of Small Scale Miners there. There is more of this story on 3news.com. Now let's shift focus to the energy sector. Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament ranking member Adam Mutawakilu, a member of parliament for the Damongo constituency, has urged government as a matter of urgency to negotiate with aggrieved workers of ECG over the sale of the company to ensure transparency. ECG workers have taken government to court for what they described as government failure to heed to their demands of paying them their severance package.
The Public Utilities Workers Union Wednesday filed a suit demanding a severance package because of the handing over of ECG management to a concessionaire. Member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, Adam Mutawakilu, said the workers have been kept in the dark for far too long and he is not surprised they have gone to court.
The onus is on the government to prove beyond reasonable doubt with documentation that they won't be laid off. You are aware, Ghana Commercial Bank just took over Capital Bank and UT Bank. Government assured the workers that for the next 6 months, they should be assured of job, so that Ghana Commercial Bank will take a decision either to retain them or to let them go. Less than 3 months, what is happening to the workers? They are being asked to go home. So government assurance by word of mouth is not sufficient condition for them to say, okay, we are rest assured.
He urged government to immediately engage the workers.
Legally, their contract will be terminated by then. So there must be proper arrangement either to give them their redundancy package or documentary proof that when they are no more with ECG, this new company will absorb them. And the terms and conditions that existed in ECG still exist.
Some have also argued the government could lose out on the $400 million Millennium Challenge Compact too if the court case drags.
Now let's come to the floods in Accra. Many parts of the city were Friday morning submerged in flood waters after about an hour of rainfall. In some parts of Accra, the flood waters led to vehicular traffic and movement was also restricted. The floods also washed refuse onto some portions of roads in Accra. Houses were submerged. The floods again exposed the poor drainage system in Accra and the disregard for the proper disposal of waste. The downpour also flooded some homes in the capital city. If you recall, in February 2017, after a similar heavy downpour which caused havoc, Works and Housing Minister Samuel Atachia said the country required $700 million to fix the drainage challenges. Those are the pictures that our men on the ground picked this morning. 2 hours, an hour of rainfall, houses, roads, property submerged under water. And of course, there were very congested roads this morning. But in Accra, that was the situation. Now let's go to Kumasi. The situation was quite similar. Severe flooding in some parts of the Kumasi metropolis. Commuters were told were stranded at bus terminals because the bridges were flooded and access to public transport was challenged. Suburbs like Afon-Kwanta and Dagomba line were heavily flooded, as well as some parts of the Abuabu due to the Abuabu drainage system. The indiscriminate dumping of refuse into drains and the poor siting of infrastructure development are some of the major causes of the flooding. Man there, Abubakar Ibrahim, has more on this.
Flooding in Kumasi seems to be increasing anytime it rains. This is also a result of human activities. As you can see, several waste products have been dumped. It's been raining for the past 1 hour and several houses have been submerged by the rains. I have with me the unit committee member of Afon-Kwanta who will be telling me more about this. We can see a lot of waste product here. You are a unit committee member. What measures are you taking to ensure that these are not dumped into the river?
Well, it will be very difficult to say we have any measure in place because considering how the slum has developed, I believe that the city authorities will have to come to our aid so that we will regularize the activities of these people. And sometimes the engineering of our gutters makes it very difficult for us to regularize things over here. And considering the climate change, I believe that city authority, the city engineer, all these people have to come to our aid to help us construct drains so that all these things can be checked. Because the drain that was constructed for us some time back, now when it rains for 30 minutes or 1 hour, it gets full. That means if it rains for 1 hour or 2 hours, all our houses are going to be submerged. And I believe that something has to be done. So
have you made any move to speak with the city authorities on this matter?
My brother, they know about all these things. Former President Mahama was here some time back to look at the issue, and he even talked about it. And the city authorities are really aware. They've tried to do something, but the effort they are putting in is not enough. They have to come with the engineers and give us a solution. Because if we don't talk about the slum development and the gutter construction, very soon we'll have a disaster on our hand and we cannot control. And I believe they know what to do. They just have to come to the grounds, liaise with us, resource us. You just don't say local government, you elect people to positions and you don't resource them.
We are about resources. What do you mean by resources?
By resources, I mean they should give us things that will help us check our gutters, what flows from the upstream to the downstream, so that things don't just flow from up to down. They elect us, they don't give us anything. We don't have wheelbarrows, we don't have shovels, our gutters are not checked. We are just unit committee members and assembly members. We don't have anything.
But even if you are to be given the resources and the people continue to dump refuse indiscriminately into the drains, we are still going back to square zero. So what measures would you be putting to ensure that they wouldn't be putting dumps waste into the...
Yes, if we are well resourced, we will be able to get opinion leaders of these places, sit down with them, create task force, so that they will be able to check all these things. As you can see along the gutters, the works that they do, the waste, they just put it just along the gutters, the banks of the gutters. So when it rains, the rain just takes everything.
Thank you very much. I've been engaging with the unit committee for Afon Kwanta stroke Dogombalai here in Kumasi, and he's saying all they need is to be restored so that they will be able to ensure that the residents here do not dump waste product into the drains. From Dogombalai here in Kumasi, my name is Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News.
Ibrahim Abubakar there from the Gomba line in Kumasi was staying on the flat in a crime part of the country. The head of education, research and training of the Police Motor Traffic and Transport Department is Deputy Superintendent of Police Alexander Obing, and he's just joined me on the phone lines. The DSP Obing, good afternoon, and thanks for thanks for joining us. Now, how was vehicular traffic this morning during the downpour?
Thank you very much. I think elsewhere people may register or experience storm in their jurisdiction in the form of typhoon, hurricane, which may be natural and may cause havoc and disrupt traffic. As here in our jurisdiction, there are tropical storms that are not all that huge, but because it's accelerated because of what the earlier person we were interviewing talking about, that because of our own attitude, we seem to impede the flow with dumping of rubbish and spilling to the field and all that. And in the process, we seem to have a lot of overflow, otherwise called flooding of roads and debris moving on to our route and causing hydroplaning and certain instances vehicles skidding off and impeding traffic and compounding traffic, particularly morning rush hour. And it's common, and that is what we experience. In the process, there were also a few crashes here and there. But thank God the traffic police officers in Accra and all over were on their feet at their duty points, supporting and have been able to assist all motorists, and roads are cleared and the roads are returned to normal. But I think that generally Ghanaians should understand that when there is a heavy downpour, there because of low line and our attitude, some of the vehicle flow are impeded and spills onto the road, and it as it were, impede traffic. And anytime we experience these things, particularly in police urban jurisdiction, residents should restrain not to rush to their duty point, but stay for a while for the rain to recede before they rush to town. Otherwise, you get stuck in traffic. Traffic will move slowly, creating inconvenience, and in certain instances, panic.
How well do your men work with, for instance, the metro agency to know that perhaps the weather would experience such situations, and so men and officers should be deployed to some roads to ensure that those roads are not congested?
Yeah, I think they communicate through the normal communication channel, and we get it that our routine deployment normally don't change, because we have a normal roster that we use to deploy traffic police officers on daily and on weekly basis, and such strategic locations we don't leave there, because they are very strategic that when police presence is not felt during rush hours, traffic will compound, there will be confusion and chaos. And we do that constantly. And it's communicated also because we are still in the rainy season. September is here and October. The last maxima in terms of rainfall, we are expecting it and we are experiencing it. So police officers are aware to carry their raincoats and to respond to calls and all that. But you understand that there are certain things that go beyond deployment of police officers, because when the low-lying areas are engulfed with runoff and traffic can move, vehicles get stuck and traffic compounds, and it comes to a complete stop, particularly during rush hour, and that is what we experience in the morning. Okay. And so many vehicles also, drivers are intolerant. They, even when it is raining and the rains are on the surface of the tar road, they want to speed and they get scared off and cause pile-up crash, and it also contribute to very inconvenient vehicular traffic. So we think that, and we have said it over and over again, when it is raining, please look for an upland area where there are no trees and stop for a while. If you have not left your home, stay for a while. Even if you are in the office and it is raining, don't attempt to rush to the house.
All right, I am grateful. All right. Okay.
Proceed, and that will help all urban dwellers and those visitors and transit.
I'm grateful. DSP Alexander Obing is the head of education, research and training of the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service there, talking to me. This is Midday Live. We're stopping on the break, so when we come back, we'll tell you why the GRA is getting ready at impounding more vehicles that have not paid the regulated import duty. Stay with us. We're back in a moment. Now, first on the log for business, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has impounded over 100 vehicles for non-payment of customs duties. The authority has indicated it will sustain the exercise, which will be extended across the country. Under Section 55, Subsection 1 of the Customs Act 2016, a person who imports vehicles and other goods into the country shall pay import duties. Per the law, owners of uncustomed vehicles have violated the law. The Special Surveillance and Monitoring Unit set up by the Finance Ministry in collaboration with Ghana Revenue Authority has impounded 100 vehicles whose owners have failed to pay custom duties.
GRA is therefore calling on all owners of such vehicles to regularize the status of their vehicles with the Customs Division of the GRA. I also wish to advise the general public to verify the authenticity of the documents of any vehicle they intend to purchase with the Customs Division of GRA to be sure of the tax and duty status of such vehicles before payment.
The Commissioner General indicated the GRA will vigorously pursue persons and companies who or which failed to pay their due taxes.
Come clean and let us resolve the issues. If we do not come clean, we have other methods to make sure we sanitize the system, and we are going to do that. We want to see that every vehicle on the road in Ghana has paid its due duty, and that's our interest.
Emmanuel Kofinti noted most of these vehicles and other goods enter the country through unapproved roads.
If smuggled goods are in an articulator or are in a truck, those trucks are liable to forfeiture. In addition, the smuggled goods itself will go through seizure procedures and subsequently forfeited. The operator, master of the conveyor, shall also be liable to prosecution.
In other business news, a former finance minister said Tekpe has lashed out at government for introducing double taxation through 3% flat VAT rate at a public lecture in Accra. He argued the new rate could enable importers and some other businesses engage in corrupt practices.
The lecture, organized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, was to throw more light on the new flat VAT rate. According to the former finance minister, the new rate is for retailers and wholesalers and not importers, adding that it could result in double taxation and an increase in the prices of goods. He therefore called on government to streamline the policy.
We don't start with 17.5, you go to 3% and go back to 17.5. You confuse your tax administrators, you open the door for corruption for some of them, and tax evasion and avoidance. So keep it simple.
But the director in charge of policy and programs at the Ghana Revenue Authority, Nathan Nete, disagreed.
Do you know how many amendments was done in the Act 46? 12 amendments throughout. And it started at a rate of 10%. When you look at the exemption list, there were 20 items. But when it was being repealed, 2013, it had gone up to 26.
A tax administrator, William Demita, is of the view the new VAT law should address the multiplicity of taxes.
It will minimize the incidence of cascading of the tax. And so those who used to sell or those who have their shops located within our communities and where we live were really the targets of the VAT flat rate. And then the provision was stated that if you're on VAT flat rate, you are not allowed a deduction for input credit.
The Director General at the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Daniel Ogbami Tete, has hinted of an upward adjustment in the minimum capital required for capital market operators. He was speaking at this year's World Investor Week in Accra. The current minimum capital required for operators is pegged at 100,000 cedis.
The new capital is expected to mobilize long-term capital for the Commission.
We are looking at within the next, let's say 2 to 4 weeks, the market will get the guidelines and then we'll take their feedback. And once we are agreed on the way forward, we'll move into enforcement.
Director General at the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Daniel Ogbami Tete, encouraged capital market operators to be compliant. Retail investors present were taking through the various requirements on the capital market. Representatives from the Ghana Stock Exchange, Central Securities Depository and the Securities and Exchange Commission took turns to educate investors on their rights and responsibilities. Director General at the Securities and Exchange Commission underscored the need for information flow as a key component between an investor and the market operator.
At this seminar, you heard, if you like, some of the old school people complaining about too much reliance on the digital, approach to disseminating information. I think it's a question of striking a right balance.
This is Midday Live, our top story. Parts of Accra and Kumasi flooded after an hour of downpour. There is more on that on 3news.com. We're taking a break. When we come back, there is sports. And how it will be, but we'll get you more on that later on. Let's come back to our local stories. And Winneba is also in the news. This morning's floods, some parts of that municipality was flooded. You can see the pictures on your screens there. Roads, guess the main road of the community flooded there. Policemen on duty to help salvage the situation. Homes were not left out. Almost every part of the municipality, particularly the capital, Winneba, was flooded. Those are the pictures from Winneba from the morning rain, just one hour of rains. They can see vehicles struggling to meander their way through flood waters, making sure they don't run into gutters, open spaces there. Those are the pictures from Winneba there. Let's stay on it. Philip Boafo is a resident there. He's just joined me on the phones. Philip, we saw the pictures there. How severe was what happened this morning?
Well, I must say that it was very severe because if you look at the pictures or the videos, just directly in front of the Kremovic Hospital, the whole place was flooded. You couldn't even see the open gutters. Like everywhere was running waters. And it was so difficult for people, for motorists to go past the road. But then I must commend the National Service personnel who were there to direct traffic to ease congestion. Actually, there was a little accident that happened. Apparently, a Toyota four-wheel vehicle had lost control, and then it ran into a Nissan March that was just right in front of it. But then it wasn't any severe accident, just for some broken windscreen glasses.
I see. Is this common in Winneba, or perhaps the rains were that heavy and might have caused the amount of water we saw on the roads?
Well, it wasn't that heavy, but then I must say that the area that this incident happened actually have a stream over there. So when the rain started, then it overflowed its banks and then it came directly onto the road.
I see. So perhaps apart from that accident, no other casualty was recorded?
No, not that I know of.
All right, Philip, I'm grateful. Philip Boafo lives in Winneba, talking to us about the flood. You can get to our social media platforms, and wherever you are, if you had to go through rain this morning, get the pictures onto our social media platforms. We'll share that with the rest of the world. This is Midday Live. Time now for some entertainment news. Now let's take you back to the days. Rosalinda was one of the earliest telenovelas aired by TV3 and so remains a favorite for many people. The story was a replica of love, hate, betrayal, amongst others. After all 10 years since it aired, what can you remember about the telenovela?
Rosalinda is one of the telenovelas that caught eyeballs in the early 2000s. The Mexican soap opera, which was a remake of Venezuelan telenovela Maria Teresa, produced in 1972, was a story couched around a young talented woman, Rosalinda, real name Angelica Maria, who had fallen deeply in love with Fernando Jose, the male lead character. Both of them had very high aspirations of making a home together, but the jealousy and backstabbing from their family and friends almost made it impossible. Rosalinda had just started to rise in her music career when an unfortunate accident rendered her mentally unstable. It was even more popular because of the flower the main character had at the back of her ear all the time. This became a fashion trend for most Ghanaian ladies who could not resist the temptation to emulate. After over 10 years since the telenovela was aired, some people still remember certain characters and some parts of the storyline.
I remember Rosalinda lost her mind and she had to stay with someone. I think that person kidnapped her. I was very little by then, but it was one of the favorite telenovelas I ever watched. from TV3, and you guys celebrating your 20 years. I think you guys should actually bring it back.
I remember Rosalinda very well. I mean, because my grandmother was into it, and we lived with her in the same room. So we are, whether you are young, old, boy, girl, you have no choice than to just watch with her. I love the fact that the characters, the dub was done by Ghanaian characters. So I can even, I think, give to yourself, but she did that for Valeria. Her voice was very clear back then, I remember.
It used to be one of my favorite telenovelas, especially because I like the song, and my friends and I used to compete who could sing the song better.
I quite remember she had some mental issues, and she had this little girl. She used to have a fly in her head. It was really pretty. It was really cool, yeah.
Rosalinda. That's what I remember.
The Mexican soap indeed remains the favorite for lots of people.
"20 years on, expect more from us, TV3. With sustainable entertainment, the chiefs and people of Ekropong in the Eastern region will be climaxing this year's Ojura Festival on October 7 and 8. TV3's entertainment team has been engaging the festival ahead of the celebration.
All right, so basically after that particular thrilling episode, I'm talking about the Mampong Street Carnival, the TV3 Onua FM event team have decided to step up the game. And basically what they are saying is that this very weekend, it's going to be fun inside Ekropong. Ojura Festival 2017 is happening, and so they feel it's only fair that they take the fun there. And so they're going to give them that same package, exciting package that happened inside Mampong. And what is happening right here is that we are with the Ekropong community inside Kanta Mountain. We're looking at the excitement and the anticipation ahead of this year's Ojura Festival. Chairman, what's happening? I hear you're going to Ekropong this weekend. What's happening?
Yeah, everything will be cool there, you know. I'm very excited that the year has come, you know, and we are going there large, you know. El Saudi is representing more people. Everybody is coming, you know. The Red Gang, we are coming, you know. Yeah, it's Ojura, yeah, man.
Oh, we like TV3. We are coming to enjoy your show. I heard you people are going to make some program.
Sure, we're going to be playing music, and we're going to give a lot of gifts for whoever is going to be there.
My boss, you know something. Today is Thursday, so we have to hustle small. Then we get a little
Ojura,
then we come and get small.
Yes, yeah, back.
So Ojura, it is happening on the 6th and on the 7th of October, and TV3 is going to be there.
And we, SRG, we are going to present over there so that people could see that SRG is there.
And as you know, Katamando people will be there, live and colored, so expect more big things from us.
You know what I'm saying? This Ojura is going to be big. We're coming live with a convoy, you know what I'm saying?
So more fun, more boiling, and then you're meeting boys.
Exactly. We're going to meet those that we've seen for so long. They come in, we're all going to party, we're going to meet, we're going to chit-chat, you know what I'm saying?
This weekend will be a great weekend that has never happened in Ghana history. We're going to provide everything that Ojura people are expecting.
Ojura! Well, everything so Ojura! 2 more days to go. You're making money ahead of the event.
Yeah, precisely. You know, we work hard, so else that you become hard. They should expect us. We'll be there. Very hard. We work hard. We chill hard. We boy, everything is hard on SIG.
Well, everything so Ojura!
And of course, the best place to be this weekend is the mountains of Ekropong, to be precise. We are live there. Now, some international news.